Hello there, this is Drills88, and this is my Dead Space Remake, hard mode. No damage, no shop, no stasis, and no upgrades. And this is Chapter 9, Dead on Arrival. And a bit of advice, we're gonna board another ship called the Valor in this chapter, and there will be no shops on this separate ship that we're gonna be boarding. So my advice to you is go to the shop right now and dump whatever you can. You know, take what you need. Inventory management is going to be crucial for me in this chapter, especially with my low inventory space. But here we go. We enter the Valor. And this first part right here, check the lockers, check these little cubby holes. There's going to be items in there.
Isaac, we have a problem. The Valor's carrying a 12 megaton warhead. The crash hit the torpedo bay hard.
And
I need you to handle
the first enemy we encounter in this chapter is a new enemy type, and the very last enemy type that we will be encountering in the whole entire game, actually, as far as enemy types go. And that is the Twitcher. And this is another one of the redesigns of the Necromorph that I'm not exactly fond of. I thought they looked a lot scarier in the original, but it makes more sense for them to look the way they do in this remake, because these are soldiers that have been mutated into their armor, and you know, they're wearing armor. And right here I put down a laser trap on pretty much in the center of the store. This guy was giving me problems. I died to him like maybe several times, maybe even a dozen. He kept getting me, and I had to figure out a good solution. I could have pulled out the contact beam, but I'm kind of refusing to pull it out. So I'll lay down a laser trap right here. I'm going to come over here and spawn him. He's going to come over here, and I'm going to hit him with a fire extinguisher. It's another fire extinguisher on the wall to the left. I use it to knock him down, do some more damage, and I pull out the Ripper to finish him off while he's still getting hit by the laser. And this guy was a bastard. You know, he held me up for so long. And a little bit of forewarning, I'm going to be carrying a lot of... I'm going to be bringing in a lot of stuff with me, like Necromorph blades and vent blades into other rooms, so I can conserve ammunition. Now, there's really nothing to talk about right now, so random topic of the day. My top 6 games that I hate the most that I've ever played. And they would be Two Worlds 2, Assassin's Creed 3, Skyward Sword, Nier Automata, Dead Space Extraction, and the Dead Space Ignition. Yes, I'm going to put those two into one. And Borderlands 2, and the first Borderlands DLC. Actually, fun fact is that I actually used to 100% every single game that I ever played a long time ago, and the Borderlands DLC killed that for me. Now I'm okay with just getting the platinum, and that's it. But Borderlands DLC, if you got 100% for it, then you will understand why I feel the way I do about DLC trophies. But Two Worlds 2. That's a good place to start. I saw my friend playing it one day, and I thought it looked interesting. And so I got the game, and I played it, And yeah, I regret it. I really do. It was probably the worst game I've ever played. And bring all the bodies in this room right here and just stomp on them, because you're gonna run into an infector in this room. And when I go out in this hallway right here,
This is Commander Cadigan.
there's a power node that you can get. And when you go back into the room, there's a glitch that happens. It happens every time. See, there's a dead body just laying in midair. You know, it happens every time. Maybe it's just my game. You know. Let me know if it happens on your game. But when you pull that battery out, you're gonna get assailed by a twitcher and an infector. And how I deal with it is what you see in this video. Just throw shit at the twitcher, and they chase me around the room. But anyways, back to Two Worlds 2. Yes, worst game I've ever played. Horrible story. I guess the combat would be alright, but it doesn't justify everything else that's the game. How shitty the rest of the game is. And I probably got the worst case scenario. My trophies glitched up on me about 40% through the game. So I had to redo basically the first half of that game again. And I was hating my life at that point. And I was going through probably the worst time of my life at that point. So it did not help. And when you enter like heavily populated areas, it feels like it takes like a month for your screen just to turn. The screen tearing, the slowing down, it's horrible, dude. I'm not usually one to complain about frame rate. I'm not that spoiled, I don't think, to complain about it. But this game is just on another level. This game made me hate it just for that. And then the story, like, you spend most of your story trying to unveil the background of the main villain, and it's stupid. So at the very beginning of the game, some like Lord of the Rings armored knight guy, he shows up and he imprisons you and your sister, and then somebody breaks you free, and then you're on the run. Then you got to go and do stuff, and you're uncovering the background, the mystery of this villain, and then at the end of the game, you find out that the plot twist was that this mean villain was a good guy all along. He imprisoned you and your sister so he could save you, and he didn't bother even explaining it to you. And he ends up getting killed by the true evil, this dragon. He gets eaten up by a dragon, and then you end up fighting the dragon, and it's so stupid. Like, I could probably get into more detail, but like, I'm just like, wow, dude, you couldn't have picked a worse story. Who wrote this shit? You know? And then there's the maps, like the 4 main maps that you play on, and they are trying to just put you into the most miserable places that you can possibly think of. The first one is, for example, a desert kind of area, and it's stricken with poverty and slavery and disease. And the towns are basically kind of like a Jerusalem kind of thing, like you would kind of picture, like in where Jesus Christ would probably have been raised or something. And Yeah, and if you're gonna, make a really hostile land to explore in, do it right, because Two Worlds 2 did not do it right. Like, good games like Morrowind or Dark Souls or the Souls games, those are some very, really just miserable lands to explore, but at least they're fun to explore. You know what I'm saying? It's just, Two Worlds 2 was just, the maps were just there just to be miserable. And I'm still not done shitting on this game. Oh no, I'm not done yet. There's a multiplayer segment to it as well. The trophies that you had to get. But let me get back to you on that. When you go through this door right here, a divider is gonna come around that corner. Grab this stack right here, and it'll one-shot him, but it'll split him apart. So there's some barrels right there in that corner. Just use them and blow up the the little bits. And when you progress in this room, some twitchers are going to show up, and just use all the stuff that you bring in with you, the explosive canisters and all that stuff, all that good jazz. And I will get back to the topic of the day, and that is what we've been talking about, Two Worlds 2. Now, there was the multiplayer trophy side to this, where there's like co-op adventures and stuff like that. And this part might have been the worst, because there was hardly anybody playing it online. And I was playing it back in like 2016. And yeah, there's some twitchers right there. I blew them up. I think they're both dead, but I used a explosive canister there for good measure. But the multiplayer portion of it was just like, I don't even know the word to describe it. But yeah, it was hard to find people. There were still people playing it, but barely, man. It was a ghost town, and the only people left that were playing it were really just very dedicated players, man. Some of them were even modders. There were some game modes where I had to play. I believe, it's been a while, but I believe I had to win some matches. So I tried to fight some of these guys, and they just stood there and let me hit them for like 30 minutes. I still didn't get their life halfway down. And then when they finally got bored, they just one-shot me. They just swung their sword and I was dead. That's how outmatched I was. And because they've been playing the game for so long, it's not just from experience, but from also leveling up your character. And some of these guys were modders. So I had to politely message them and ask them, please, can you let me win? And I pulled it off in the end. But man, was it tough getting there. And very important right here, part of the video, pull all that stuff into the hallway that you just saw and leave it there. This will come in handy later on, trust me. But it didn't go so smoothly, but I ended up eventually pulling it off. And I had one guy cooperating with me, and then all of a sudden he just pulled a 180 on me and just decided to start killing me and my teammate for no reason. He said that he's going to help us out, and he looks like he was, and then boom, he went bipolar on us and just started killing us for no reason. And at that point, true story, I actually got pissed off and I punched the ground and basically broke my fist. I was getting so pissed off, and he left. Like, he left us. He killed us and left us, and then we had to find some new people to play with. And I think that's about it for my rant about Two Worlds 2. Do not play that game. It is god-awful. And with this Twitcher right here, I lure him over to that corner, and then I blast him with the shotgun, and then I just run through the door. I don't bother with him. And don't get him near the door because when you shoot this guy, he's got a little stasis module in his chest. So if you hit that, it'll set that off and it'll affect the door. And if you run out the door while that door is under stasis, he can still come out. He can come through that door too, and then follow you out in the hallway. So that's the reason why I lured him outside. You know, away from the door. So just be aware of that if you want to just run past them. Yeah, it's a bitch move for sure, but sometimes you gotta play like a bitch to make it through. I'm still alive, ain't I? Made it this far. Now, coming down to the end of this hallway, remember when I told you to leave a bunch of stuff in the hallway in that one section? This is where this comes into play. So I pull all that stuff out from there to this door, and we bring all that stuff into this room. And for the end of this video, it's going to be just a major setup. I'm going to be setting up shop here because there's a big fight in this room. Unfortunately, the fight will not take place in this video. It'll be on the next video in part 2. But yeah, I'm not done talking about the whole my least favorite games of all time. Two Worlds 2 was probably up there at number 1. I had a horrible experience with it. Now, Assassin's Creed 3 might be the worst Assassin's Creed game I've ever played. And, you know, I'll probably dive more into that later, but man, that was not fun to get the platinum on. And just, you know, FYI, I am a platinum hunter. I go for the platinums in every game that I play. And once the trophy pops in the game, then I'm pretty much in it, you know, for the duration. Once the trophy pops, I gotta complete it. And most of the time I enjoy it, but there are a few games that do make me regret it sometimes. Just like Two Worlds 2. And we're coming up on the end of the video. I'll see you in part 2. And you have a nice day. Goodbye.